Hammer, let's just start with what we were just talking about. Why has this series melted people's brain the way that it has?
I don't know, man. I just feel like there's so many people that are willing to bite on things at this point. Like I just like all day long in my Twitter feed, it's just ugly and weird and funky and even the Harrison Barnes situation and like everyone just heaping on Harrison Barnes like that guy just like did something horrendous. Yeah, it's weird. I think sports discourse is kind of where we're heading, and like it just keeps getting darker and darker and darker. Like I have no idea whether Fox will play or not on Wednesday. As of right now, it looks like he won't. It's a tip of his left index finger. I know Sean put out a clip that he said this might be where he hurt himself. I'm not sure. Like it's one of those weird things that just happens in a game, and we're just all gonna have to wait and see. If he misses one game, I would worry that he would miss the rest of the games because this is one of those things where, if it's that bad on 3-4 days in, then it's probably going to be that bad for a week or two.
And I think Anthony Slater had it, the clip, and it goes to everything that you had talked about earlier, Dame, where he gets hit by Looney and immediately starts messing with the finger, looking down at it, messing with it, things of that nature. So yeah, it's unfortunate. James, me and Damian both seem to think if there's a chance for him to play, I'm betting on him at least trying. I know he's going to do everything he can, whatever protective wrap or anything he needs over the finger or whatever. I think he's going to try everything he can to get out there on the floor. Through your knowledge of maybe, something like this, do you even think that's possible? Is that something that is an option if he can tolerate the pain? Like, is it something that can even be done?
Yeah, so we haven't heard like the exact diagnosis if it's going to be a something that requires surgery. I'll tell you, like Matthew Dellavedova is still in like I don't know how to describe it. It's a hard cast, but it's a removable hard cast.
He looks really uncomfortable. I'll tell you, that's what.
Yeah, he's got his hand up the whole
terrible.
time. Yeah, with two fingers locked in. So we haven't heard that it's anything like that. And then it does come down to pain management. And like, I'm not going to say that like if he doesn't play, he's not strong enough to fight through. It really does depend on if he can move that thing and if it's going to hamper everything that he does. I mean, you need him to be great. You don't need him to be out there and be mediocre. And I know his speed is great and everything else, but like if his handles aren't good and that's his dominant hand, that's not a good thing. So we're going to have to wait and see. Again, like I would like to tell you that he's just going to be able to blow right through this. He is a quick healer. We saw it years ago with the ankle, the massive ankle sprain. Throughout his career, he's been a quick healer. But until we actually, see this thing and we actually see how he looks, trying to handle a basketball, we won't know anything.
Yeah, and I don't imagine you're going to see that tomorrow, James. Like I joked earlier, there's no practice, no media availability or anything like that today. My guess is whatever De'Aaron does at practice tomorrow will be done before you guys arrive.
Oh, yeah, we're not seeing any of it. No, they're not going to have us talk to him either. Like tomorrow will be a day where we get Davion because he's going to be the guy that will start if De'Aaron won't go. I mean, he's the guy who started every other game this season when De'Aaron didn't play. And so I just assume, except for the last one where he was injured, I expect him to start and play major minutes. And, to be honest, he gives you a lot. He's really good defensively. He's really helped out. You just have to find somewhere else to get the 31.5 points per game that we're seeing from Fox so far.
One of the things that got brought up about De'Aaron that we haven't even talked about yet, Damien, was that interaction with him and Draymond.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it. So happy to see.
He damn near stepped over Keegan to get in Draymond's face, which is low key the funniest part.
And that's something that we haven't. James, maybe you can speak on it. I can't remember seeing Fox go at another player that way. And I loved it. I loved him defending Keegan the way he did, and because Draymond, I'm not gonna call him dirty or nothing like that, but I mean, just so happened to poke somebody in the eye again Like that seems to be his move.
Okay, so
a lot.
Yeah.
So you don't want to call him dirty. I mean, this is a guy who just like Mario jumped off of Domantas Sabonis' chest. He's a guy who did the exact same thing in game one. I think it was game one where he slapped Trey Lyles in the face. This is who he is. And so, yeah, he's dirty. I would even think that he would say he's dirty. Like it was a dirty play. He was getting beat. He went up in the air with one hand, and with the other hand, he slapped him in the face. And it was a kid who was starting to get loose on you, and he tried to make an impact in a different way, in a non-basketball way. It's really hard to have like healthy discourse, like down in the Bay Area around the media down there when it comes to Draymond. And I don't even know how to explain it, but I sat there and had another long discussion at dinner before lunch before game 4, and I'm just taken aback by people who are reasonable people who don't seem to have the right objectivity when it comes to Draymond Green and what he does on the court, as far as a negative. And it's a lot of excuses. It's a lot of, well, that wasn't that bad, or, oh, I can't imagine him getting suspended. Like the second he did that move, I knew he wouldn't play the next game. I don't understand how anyone else felt that way. You watched it happen. You thought, okay, well, maybe the league won't pull the trigger, but I fully expected him to get suspended. And we're watching all of these other series with these guys slapping each other in the junk and kicking each other, and it's like the game is. It's not even that it's so much dirty as it is just like it's almost childish in what some of these moves are. Like this isn't like 80s and 90s basketball where like if you go in there hard at the trying to fly in at the rim, someone's gonna lay you out and you're risking life and limb. This is just some like really like low key trash that we're seeing from these players that are going out there and doing things to instigate stuff all day long. And I don't know if you're Draymond Green, if you think you can instigate something with Keegan Murray, I don't know what you're thinking, because I mean that dude is like stone faced to you the whole time.
But I don't think he was trying to instigate with Keegan Murray. I think he was trying to instigate with someone in the Sacramento Kings uniform. And that's what he got. Like he got De'Aaron's response. And like I'm thrilled with the way that De'Aaron responded. But the first thing I thought about is, okay, if Fox starts to go off, which he did, watch Draymond, because he's going to try to goad him into a second one. Like he'll get himself tossed if he can get De'Aaron out of the game.
I don't listen to it, but I heard him. He said that on his podcast, I guess. He said I'll take the trade-off.
Oh, I'm sure he would.
He said that himself.
Because he knows he's the eighth best player on the Golden State Warriors. And if you can take out the number one,
regardless of what Warriors fans and Warrior media is trying to tell you, even he knows I'm not as good as this man. I'm not as vital to the game as this man. So if they want to throw us both out, fine. He's more impactful, and he's a greater player than I am at this point in my career. He knows that. But let any host down there in the Bay Area or any writer tell you, no, you just can't win without him. Can't win without him.
And it's weird because some of them say different things privately.
Oh, I think there will be a much different feel when he leaves. When he's no longer there.
First time he kicked Steph Curry in the junk when he's a member of the Phoenix Suns. Oh, I guarantee you they're going to talk a little bit differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's gonna be talking about core control when his leg flew up and hit Steph in the 3-pointers.
Yeah.
The 3-pointers.
There you go.
James, let's go back to Davion, because Davion's obviously, regardless of whether De'Aaron has availability or limited availability or whatever, Davion is going to have to play a massive role moving forward in this series. And I'd argue he's played pretty well. If Davion took over that spot, would you be confident that Sacramento could? And we'll go worst case scenario that De'Aaron is out. Davion steps into that spot. Are you pretty comfortable with the one position?
Yeah. I mean, the Kings are 3-4 on this season in actual real games when De'Aaron Fox doesn't play. So late in the season he missed a game. But yeah, I mean, I think Davion has proven that he's a solid game manager. He's not clearly the scorer, but this team has a lot of scorers. But defensively, he's been tremendous in this series. He's been the guy who's gone out and slowed down and made life difficult for Steph. And people could look and say, well, it's not like Steph isn't, scoring a ton of points still. And that doesn't matter. Like the way that they're making Steph work, it's just they're doing a really good job. And he was going to play major minutes either way. But he's a little under 24 minutes per game on the series.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing a lot more than Kevin Huerter's playing. He's a guy that, you were going to already like think about, playing at least 24, but maybe even closer to 28, 30 minutes just because of his defense on Steph and some of the other players. So yeah, I think he can handle it. I sat down and talked to him this weekend while I was down in the Bay. I talked to Doug Christie about him. I've got a piece coming out that I'll be writing probably for tomorrow or Wednesday morning. But yeah, he's going to have to step up and find a way to put some points on the board just to help out. But he needs some of his teammates to snap out of it and step up as well.
Yeah. And I know, a little bit more is probably going to be asked of him, but he's playing really well in this series. I know he wasn't great in game 3, but game 2 and game 4,
no one was.
Nobody was. Game 2 and game 4, I thought he played really well on both sides of the ball. I thought, he made his open shots and, attacked with confidence. I think he's been playing good basketball. So that's a good sign if he has to take on a little bit more of a load in this series, because he is playing good basketball. He is playing with probably as much confidence as he's had all year long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is that Kevin Huerter has to step up. Like what we're seeing from Huerter is crazy, and now we're seeing Mike like have the quick hook with him all the time. I think that's been one of the the bigger developments in this series, that Kevin isn't getting up shots. He's also not getting a lot of opportunity. And I think what we saw from Keegan Murray this last game was something that everyone else who's struggling on this team needs to learn. If you're going to get open, if you're going to get loose in the playoffs against the Warriors, you have to work harder. You have to run faster. You have to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And that's what I saw from Keegan. Keegan finally learned what the speed of the game had to be for him to get open. And now I think he's back to normal. Like, do I think he's going to put up 23 points again? I don't know, but I certainly think he's going to be a viable option. And it's guys like him and it's guys like Kevin Huerter, especially with Fox out, that have to step up and really take on some of the scoring load. Even a Harrison Barnes, a Trey Lyles, who's been up and down the whole series. Malik Monk has had some good moments and some really bad moments. All these guys are going to have to step up if Fox isn't there.
Keegan had a play, I feel like it was the first quarter, where he crashed to the basket and like ripped a rebound away. And I think it wound up resulting in a jump ball, but that got the crowd at Sky River Casino at 32 Brew Street pretty hyped, because we saw it kind of what you were just talking about right there, James. He obviously wasn't shooting, he wasn't scoring, he wasn't trying to get open, but he was really active. And it was like, okay, if the shot's not falling, and I think, Casey, you were talking about this before, if the shot's not falling, that's fine. Do something else. And before that 3 started dropping, it was like, oh, Keegan's doing something else. This might be this might be the moment for him. And it turned out beautifully.
Yeah, he's definitely coming on. He's a young guy that has moments where you worry that even though he says he's confident and all that stuff, that he's not. But like he stepped up in a big way. And I think the Kings, you could see their bench react when he hit his first 3. He was 1 of 8 coming into that game. And then you just saw sort of it build, because if you can get him going, then, you're a completely different team offensively. And I'll even compare it a little bit to, Andrew Wiggins and how he means so much to the Warriors. And we're seeing him start to get better and better as the series goes on. And it's not about the points per game, because I think he's been, even the first game he had pretty, he had a pretty strong offensive game in the first game, but we're seeing him be able to sustain for longer and longer. And, getting him back after a 25 game absence is a little bit like Keegan not ever playing in the playoffs, him having to adjust and figure out the flow and figure out the speed of the game on the fly. And so, we're actually starting to see both of these teams, I think, really improve as the series goes on. It's become more of a coin flip each and every game, and the Kings just missed a big shot. That's what the last one came down to.
Yeah. I was happy to see that from Keegan, because James, we had talked about it last week, and I said, "Hey, if I'm Mike Brown, you got to show me something early. You got to show me something quick, because I don't have time to waste. We're trying to win this series right now." And I disagree with people who said, you shouldn't start him. I'm like, no, you give him that opportunity for however long the playoff run lasts. He's your starting power forward, but you just change the minutes up if you need to, and you get the quick hook. And for him to come out immediately, and like you talked about, Damian, just be active, be out there and be involved in the action, which led to him, getting maybe a more of a feel with shooting the basketball. That was just great to see, man, and that bodes well. I don't know if he's going to get 23 again in this series, but it bodes well for his confidence and just saying, okay, I know that I can get involved in each game by just doing things outside of shooting, and then my shooting will come. So I'm excited to see the prospects of what he's able to do the rest of this series, and hopefully the rest of the playoff run.
And hopefully someone follows.
Yeah, and I'll tell you too, like with Keegan, like his offense, when he's not scoring, it does impact his defense. It's something that we've seen. He becomes like slightly timid, a little less quick with his motion, and that's, to me, you can see like when he's not shooting the ball well, that's where because he's a young player, that's where his identity is, and it hurts the other aspects of his game. And he's learning, he'll get through it. And, like this is really good. Like, I know a lot of people kept saying, oh, they should start Davion in game 2. And it's just like, what do you guys, or the Malik Monk stuff. Why aren't you starting Malik Monk? It's like, this team was really good all season long with this starting 5. There's no reason to tinker with it. There's no reason to cause long-term damage to Keegan Murray's psyche by pulling him in the middle of a playoff run. Let him fight through it. That's what this is about. This was about a learning experience for all of them. They want to keep winning, and fans have expectations that keep changing, especially when you go up 2-0. But at the end of the day, this was always going to be about, the journey. It's about learning each and every game, and adding, if you see 10 players and this thing goes 7 games and we see 10 players per game, the Kings just picked up 70 games of playoff experience. And that's something that is extremely valuable to this group, especially when we came into this series and, the Warriors sitting out there with like 817 games of playoff experience to the Kings, like 188. That's what this is always going to be about.
Hammer, you mentioned this. What did you think of that? What did you think of the final possession, beginning with the rebound and going from there?
Yeah, I think Mike Brown is probably like, it'll play over in his head a couple of times whether he should have called a timeout or not. The play with Steph was just wild to see. Not only, like, Steve Kerr took the hit on that and said, I don't think he had explained it to his team that he had run out of timeouts, but it was random. I was sitting next to someone that I don't normally sit next to, and when they called the review on the play where Fox got hammered on the offensive foul by Looney, right?
Malik.
Was it Malik? Yeah. Okay, so they call the coach's challenge. The guy next to me goes, "Wow, that was really dumb. That's their last timeout." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And so then we get this situation.
That was a really weird play to challenge. Like, we didn't talk about that either. That was a really bizarre play to challenge.
Really bad. And then what you saw, like the way that it unfolded with Steph, it wasn't just that Steph made a mistake. It was that the Kings did something right. Like, they had fumbled around with the ball, and then all of a sudden the Kings threw a trap at Steph with 18 seconds left on the shot clock, and he hadn't got the ball over midcourt. So he had no choice but to call the timeout, but not knowing that they didn't have a timeout. So I thought that was absolutely crazy, watching that play out and seeing one of the greats make a mistake. And then you see De'Aaron just lace another 3. And next thing you know, like, the game is right there for the taking. They get the defensive stop. I thought was great. And I like what Mike said. Like, we had 10 seconds. That's a lot of time to set up a play. Let's go and get the best shot possible. And I'll go to something else that Mike said during his post game. he was really upset with his team for these random running in transition into 3 players and throwing up haymakers. And I think a lot of it was Malik, where he had some really, really bad possessions on fast breaks. I think Davion had a questionable one as well, where you're just like, what are you guys doing? Like, make the smart play. And so I don't think he wanted to see his team run down and do the same exact thing again. They weren't getting any calls. I mean, the fact that Domantas Sabonis didn't go to the free throw line once,
Yeah.
and I mean, he's just getting battered, and he's a guy who averages 7 free throw attempts per game and doesn't go to the free throw line once was crazy. So you knew you were going to have to win it. You knew they weren't going to get a call. And that's another thing that I hear people, oh, Fox should have just forced it up. Like, what are you talking about? Like, Fox had, like, not only did he have Steph right in front of him, but Draymond stepped up. He left Harrison Barnes. He's wide open on his right side. Malik Monk is wide open as well. That's a right play. And Harrison missed a shot by an inch, maybe just a little bit long. It was right down the middle. And you'll take that every step of the way. And to be honest, like today, I feel for Harrison. I wrote on it last night, but that was just like his moment to silence all of it, to put it to bed. And then for him to even talk about 2016 in post game without being asked about it, I thought that was wild for him to like really put it out there. And it's one of the few times that I think Harrison's ever let his guard down about his time in Golden State and how he was treated after the fact. And I felt for him because that would have been like, like just exterminating so many demons for him if he would have hit that shot and put him up 3-1 going back to Golden 1.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting the way they treat Harrison Barnes.
Oh
after,
yeah.
After all this, I never liked any of that. And it's come out a number of different times. And you got guys like Draymond and after the game talking about we knew what was going to happen, all this other stuff. I mean, come on, man. I don't understand that. Harrison Barnes hasn't done anything to that organization, to that fan base, to those players. He's been respectable when he was there, and since he left, nothing has changed. And I just don't understand that because he missed a couple of wide open shots. Like I said, Steph Curry tried a behind the back pass and threw the ball away with under a minute to go. Steph Curry refused to go by Kevin Love and tried to shoot a 30-foot 3-point shot. Draymond Green got suspended in the game and there was nowhere to be found in Game 6. There were so many different things in that situation that kept the Warriors from winning that series. But Harrison Barnes somehow gets all the blame and all the vitriol for it. It's nasty behavior by Warriors media, Warriors fans, and some of the players.
Yeah, well, remember he's a guy that left that wasn't part of what happened after. So it's easy for a guy like Draymond to put it all on him when, again, you brought up how he was suspended for a game and everything else.
And real quick, James, they always talk about suspended for a game. He was there Game 6 and did nothing. Did absolutely nothing. Played well in Game 7, but that was the game plan. Let you shoot, and we can't lose to the Warriors if we let Draymond shoot. Played well, but it worked. Let him score as much as possible. Make Clay and Steph do what they do, and we'll win this game. And that's exactly what happened.
Well, and I'm going to point out too, like when it came to that exact play, like De'Aaron Fox has proven time and time again that he's not selfish, that he's okay with somebody else hitting that shot, even if he's the guy that got you there and he's the guy that put up all the points in the fourth quarter. He's also the guy that hit Shemezi Metu for a game winner against Dallas last year. He's a guy who served up passes to guys to hit big shots and big moments. And that's good. Like you want your leader to not just feel like he's got to put on himself every single time. And, every once in a while, a guy just flat out misses. I bring it up. Even the best Major League Baseball hitters would Tony Gwynn hit over 300, I think, every year in his career. He still missed 68% of the time he got out.
Mm-hmm.
Like just because you bat 300, you bat 320, that means it's 68% of the time you got out. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot. And so guys miss shots, and no one feels worse about that than Harrison, and there's no way to handle it other than to say, I missed a shot, or to say we missed a shot, which is something like as a team, you guys missed your opportunity because it shouldn't have come down to that. There was too many errors in the final minute of the game, the final 2 minutes of the game by the Kings to put any blame on one guy for missing a buzzer beater that, again, he barely missed.
The fact is there were, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The fact is there were all those errors in those final minutes. We talked about the Malik 1-on-4 play. We talked about all those different things. It didn't matter. You had the ball with the chance to win at the end. I don't know what else De'Aaron could have done. I would not have been pleased with De'Aaron trying to force a shot over Draymond and Steph in that situation when you had Harrison standing there by himself, because everybody screaming that Malik is open is only screaming Malik is open because Harrison shot it and missed it. In our brains, we believe, well, if he'd just thrown a cross body pass to the other side of the floor
with Steph,
that Malik definitely would have hit the shot and the Kings would have won. Harrison, I think he beat Phoenix at the buzzer. I know he beat Cleveland in the empty arena, but like it was fine. It was right there. He missed it on the game 5. And don't pretend like losing 2 games at the Chase Center is a big deal when you minimized winning. The Kings winning 2 games at the Golden One Center was a big deal.
Right.
You can't have it both ways.
That didn't matter.
You can't have it both ways. And as we said earlier, Hammer, there's only one team right now today. Now this could change, but right now today, there's only one team under pressure to win on the road. The Kings aren't under pressure to win at the Chase Center. As much as we love them to, they don't have to.
All they got to do is hold serve.
But the Warriors do.
Warriors, you're right.
From home.
Yeah, I mean, if they win that game, the series goes 3-1, and again, Fox is hurt. We didn't know that at the time, but like you would put the Kings as huge favorites to win in Game 5 at home. Huge. I mean, if it was a 3-1, I don't know what else. Like, this is a good series, but it's always it is a great series, but this is always going to be about a team learning and like trying desperately to figure out how to get their training wheels off in the middle of like chaos. And so they're going to keep fighting, and I expect it to be a really, really good game on Wednesday, and I'm excited to hear the crowd. I don't think anyone should have their head down and think that this series is over. And that's what so many people like coming out of there. Oh, they missed their shot. Like, no, it's 2-2.
Well, it feels, I'll admit, it feels a little different today, though.
With the air,
it feels a little different.
After the game, it's like,
after the game, it's 2-2. Today at about 12:20, it was like, hey, wait a minute. What the hell is this? We'll come back. James isn't going anywhere. We'll talk more Kings basketball. We'll talk about this series. We'll talk about what the Kings need to do. We'll talk about what we saw yesterday. I'll ask James, did the Warriors take the Kings' best punch yesterday? We'll talk about that. Steelo and KC brought to you by Sky River Casino here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320.
Thank you, sir. Oh, man. Hey, Business Decision Sports. Appreciate you being in here. Make sure you like and subscribe. We got your view on here. That's all that matters. Don't nobody care what you got to say.
Who we talking to?
Business Decision Sports.
That dude's a struggle. Dude is a struggle.
Don't nobody care what you got to say. Not one person. If you did, you'd have your own show. You don't. Nobody care what you got to say. But
he is a struggle.
But we'll take that view, we'll take that like, and we'll take that subscribe, man. That's all you need to do. You can type whatever you need to do. All you need to do is like and subscribe. Because don't nobody care what you got to say. But like I said, we'll take that view, big dog.
Did the last 2-minute report just come?
Keep coming back, man. It's all good. We ain't gonna kick you out of here.
So.
We ain't gonna kick you out of here. We ain't gonna mute you. We just want you to give us that view. Give us that like and subscribe. That's all we need from you.
I will mute you if you keep talking. I'm all about the ban button.
Yeah, we ain't banning business decision sports, man. We ain't banning that. He can come in here. He can say whatever he want. Don't nobody give a damn what he got to say, but he can say whatever he want. Don't nobody care. Don't nobody care what business decision sports got to say. Hey, Jesse, have you ever said, damn, I wonder what business decision sports has to say on this?
Can't say I have.
So there is one error in the 2-minute report. Draymond Green personal foul on De'Aaron Fox. Green reaches across Fox and makes contact with arm affecting his dribble with 37.9.
Yeah, that's the one after the technical foul where Fox lost the ball, I think. And Harrison got it and threw up a bad three.
Yeah, there were some bad shots. And some just really good shots that were missed.
Yeah. And that's been the story of the series. Good shots not going down, even though they went down at a much better clip. I think both of them shot 40% yesterday. 40%, but only 14, which is so funny because if they had hit that last three, it would have been 15.
Damn.
40% and 41.2%. They both hit 14 threes yesterday. The Warriors shot one less than Sacramento.
I thought both teams played.
Warriors shot 6 more free throws, though.
We could third quarter was crazy. We could talk about missed opportunities and turnovers or whatever. I thought both teams played a good game yesterday. I thought it was a good game.
Yeah.
Obviously, there'll be moments where somebody didn't do something right or whatever. I mean, that's the nature of the beast. I thought all in all, both teams played really well yesterday, and it was a great game.
It got sloppy at the end, and the officiating, like I always enjoy, like the officiating was really, really one-sided for a good portion of the game, but then they make up for it in weird ways, and you're like, man, how are you going to balance this sheet? And then you're like, oh, here they come. They just keep calling fouls on everything. And I know the Warriors are sitting here like, wait, we're the champs. Like, how come we're getting all these late foul calls? Is like, well, because you got like 20 plus like going your way the first half, which shouldn't have happened. Yeah, there's no way that Domantas Sabonis plays like almost 40 minutes and doesn't get fouled once.
Yeah, man, the way that game was being played too, it was a physical game, man. It was everybody was battling in there. So
yeah, and scoring at the rim the whole time, like or going to the rim the whole time, like come on, man. Like not one foul call.
Leezy, Curry, and Clay, it felt like in that fourth quarter, man. Any big three they had, they knocked it down, man. That's what it felt like. I know Curry missed one for sure. I think Clay missed another one too, but it felt like every big three opportunity they had in that fourth quarter, they was making them pay. They were big time as usual.
Yeah. Until that catastrophic mistake by Curry. That was just wild.
This decision keeps speaking. Somebody tell him we don't care. We don't care.
We're coming back, James. Live on the Odyssey app, live on Twitch, YouTube. All are welcome over on twitch.tv/ESPN1320 and youtube.com/ESPN1320. Our 1320 Kings Insider, creator of the Kings Beat, James Ham. Make sure you become a subscriber over at thekingsbeat.com if you're not one yet. Better yet, become a premium subscriber over at thekingsbeat.com. Obviously, James, De'Aaron Fox is going to dominate the news cycle here over the course of the next couple of days leading into Wednesday's monster Game 5 at home. We talked about the play of Keegan Murray. We were actually just talking during the commercial break about Domantas Sabonis and his stunning lack of trips to the foul line yesterday. Is this a case, when you look at Sabonis's play overall in the series, It's a little bit down over his averages. I think it's about 3 points down. Rebounds are about the same. Assists are about 3 down. He doesn't seem to have the same impact so far into this series. Is that Domas needing to be more assertive, or is that strictly a credit of what the Golden State Warriors, Kevon Looney, Draymond Green, those guys are doing on the defensive end?
Yeah, I mean, I think they are doing good work against him on the defensive end. I definitely think they've made life difficult for him, but the assist numbers are very specific. They're down because his teammates have missed too many shots, and that it is what it is. I also think that there's a lot of the way that they're allowing Looney to stand in the key for 14 seconds or 18 seconds or 20 seconds in the shot clock without anyone around him is really strange. Looney doesn't have to play defense, and he gets to stand in the key. That stops the Kings from doing their DHOs. It also stops the pick and roll where, Monk takes a guy off the dribble and then drops it back to Domas for the finish. Like, all of these things are being stunted by the Warriors. And a lot of it to me is just a guy who doesn't have to abide by like a pretty basic 3-second rule. I would like to see that called a little more standard. But he does have to be better. I know he's trying hard, and you can see that, like, all of the, even like the Klay Thompson one where him and Klay just like smashing into each other. Like, at what point are these things fouls? And you need to probably call them both ways. But even they had the one where Looney finally flopped on one, but he was under the basket. He was in the circle, and they didn't even look at it. And there are all of these moves where you're like, okay, there's got to be a point where Sabonis, who's an all-star, gets some sort of call, some sort of respect from the officials. Guys coming over the back. They did a good job, though, of keeping him off the glass. It took him until the mid-second quarter to get his first rebound. I was stunned by that. And then he had 4 rebounds in the matter of like 40 seconds, which was good to see him like kind of wake back up. But the Warriors made another adjustment and really limited him. So he's got to be better. It doesn't help him that Keegan Murray was off to such a horrible start in the first 3 games, that Kevin Huerter hasn't been able to find his stroke, that Harrison Barnes hasn't been as impactful as a scorer, but also as a rebounder. He's kind of on an island here.
Yeah, he's got to just kind of get back to playing basketball the way he knows how to play. Can't get in his head. The play that you're talking about, James, where Looney, I mean, it's a flop in theory because he didn't have to go flying into the first row. But I mean, that was completely unnecessary by Domas. Like, you didn't have to, like, and from my understanding, he can be in the restricted area, but if you dip the shoulder, that's the restricted area is gone. Like, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's an offensive foul. It was completely unnecessary. It was an easy call for them to make. He's not going to come up there and like do a whole lot. You didn't have to dip the shoulder. Get to your spot, get him on your hip, and do what you want to do right there. And this little stuff like that where he's just seems kind of flustered. He did that earlier in the game and I think in the first half, where I can't remember the specific play, but I thought he traveled, but on second look, he kept his pivot foot down. But all he did was he went into the key, Looney standing under the key. Just get to your spot and be ready to go up strong. You don't have to dip the shoulder and lean the shoulder and do all this other stuff. You're already 3 feet away from the basket. Just hold your ground, be strong, go up strong. That play, I remember the play you're talking, and it frustrated me a lot in real time because it was so unnecessary. And it was like, what's going on here, Damon? It's like, that is an easy call. What are we doing?
Yeah, I remember the first one where this happened as well. And on the first one where he ducked in and kind of bullied Looney under the basket and went up. First of all, he was fouled like 4 times on the play. His shirt, the back of his shirt is being pulled up like hockey style. And he's fighting through. And then when he finally does break loose and go up, he makes a shot, but gets whacked on the arm by Wiggins. And again, I have a tough time blaming Sabonis for that play, even late in the game where he did like bulldoze. But like, when you allow the play, like again with Klay earlier, where Klay's got 2 forearms just bashing you in the back and you're backing him down. And then, Sabonis finally slips out of it and got a foul call. Right. So that play, you're like, how do you set the standard for that being how physical it's going to be? But then it's not okay to be physical at other times. And it's not okay to be physical with other players on the opposition, but it's okay to be physical with Sabonis. And so, like, I think it's really hard for a player to like change once the standard is set for what is going to be called. It's like if you're going to call the high strike, then you got to call the high strike the whole day. Don't switch up in the middle of the game. You start calling, the high strike doesn't count anymore. That's not the way it works. And so, yeah, I feel for Sabonis because this is like this tremendous battle in the post, but he's taking a beating, and Looney is too. Looney's taking a beating, so super physical.
That's not unusual. Like those, especially for Domas. Like Domas regularly. I mean, go back to game 1. He's getting popped in the face. He got curb stomped in the most talked about play of the NBA playoffs so far. And we've seen guys whack at people's junk in this playoffs, and still the stomp on the chest was.
He got slapped in the face on that Draymond. Well, he got fouled by Wiggins and then slapped in the face by Draymond on that play.
I'm sure it was an accident.
Just an accident on that play late in the fourth where, they talked about how great Draymond was for stopping Harrison.
Yeah.
Like Wiggins pulls his back down and then Draymond blocks a shot and then smacks Sabonis in the face.
It's the most strangely covered player like that I can ever remember.
Yeah.
It's just so weird.
What did you guys make of the sneaky news dump there by the Houston Rockets today? They're like, okay, first of all, we've got chaos at Fox News in the morning, which is like eating up everybody's time. And then
then again at CNN.
Oh yeah, and then again at CNN, you're watching all this stuff unfold, and then big injury to De'Aaron Fox. Then Aaron Rodgers gets traded. Oh, we're gonna sneak in. We're signing Ime Udoka. Like they were sitting there waiting. Like
okay, James, now conspiracy theories.
Come on, news dump. Come on. Oh, James, there it is. Drop it.
Hey, whoa. Spent too much time in San Francisco. Look what happened to him. Who did you have dinner with on Saturday?
Yeah, he just you're sitting there like waiting the whole time. Like, oh, come on. Hey, Ime, we're gonna hire you as a coach, but we're not gonna tell anybody until the right moment. He's like, okay, what does that mean? We'll know it when we see it. We saw it today, this afternoon. He's like, oh, boom, Ime Udoka, head coach. Like, oh, all right.
There's nothing wrong with Ime Udoka being the head coach, especially since they never really told us what happened. They never it's been alluded to. It's been, I know so much about this, I can't even tell you. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, unless someone wants to, obviously, either no one has spoken on the record about it, or the NBA was just like, that's cool. I don't think it's that big of a deal unless there's a lot that we don't know. I don't think it's a big deal. I was pretty adamant about this when the Brooklyn stuff happened. Like, if there's a reason he can't be in the league, you need to tell us what it is. Like, don't just let it be rumor and innuendo.
Forever thing.
Tell us what's going on.
Forever,
yeah.
I thought we've seen reporting on it that spell it out. Like,
no, we have not.
He had a relationship with somebody.
I think we got that. Yeah, we got that.
And then once the relationship stopped, the innuendos and conversation around her did not stop.
So I think that stuff has been more like off the record spoken about. Oh, well, we heard that. Oh, maybe this happened. Maybe that happened. I feel like the only thing we definitively know for sure was the relationship with the young lady.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everything else, he did it with multiple women. He wouldn't leave this woman alone. All these different, I feel like that was more rumors than reporting.
Right.
Yeah. No, I get you. And I'll tell you, like,
I do love the news dump. That's pretty funny. I did not at all think of that. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Just as the relationships go, he was like someone well above her on the pecking chain.
Right.
And, and NBC fired their CEO this weekend for the same exact thing.
And he got fired from the Celtics. That doesn't mean he should never work again.
No. Oh, that's true.
They handled that. He served his penalty. I mean, that was a great job, one of the best jobs in basketball. And he lost. So, now he's back down at the bottom of the totem pole.
I'm guessing he had a lengthy meeting with HR. before signing that. Like, just so we're clear,
Let's be perfectly clear,
here's
sir.
what we expect of you
Yeah.
moving forward. Don't want this to get twisted whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, let's just stick with coaches here and talk. I'm almost hesitant to read this. I just know it'll get a reaction from everyone on the screen. Manfred defends A's owner.
This guy.
Well,
Sorry.
coward's gonna coward.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Jeez.
2 peas in a
Yeah.
pod right there.
Yeah.
You can sound off if you'd like to. I won't interrupt.
No, it's okay. Like I said my piece. Like I don't want to support Major League Baseball anymore. I'm not going to waste my time with it. And if somehow the A's are saved, I'll figure out what to do then. So,
Okay.
but
There we
until
go.
then, like I hate to say it, but the sport's kind of dead to me.
Well,
So-
just know that Mark Davis is on your side.
Mark Davis is on,
Wow.
which was bizarre.
Yeah, well.
Well, that's not a good thing.
Ham and Mark Davis.
Now I feel like I have to wear white jeans somewhere. Like,
There
I
you
don't
do.
know.
You
Going
can
to
do
get
it.
my haircut tomorrow. Going to
Get
ask for
that
the Mark
bowl cut.
Davis.
Get that bowl cut.
I'm asking for the Mark Davis tomorrow. That's right.
Get it done, man. How do you feel heading into this now best of 3 series based on what you've seen for 4 games and the limited information that we have on De'Aaron Fox? We know no matter what happens on Wednesday, De'Aaron Fox isn't going to be 100%. We know no matter what happens on Wednesday, De'Aaron Fox isn't going to be anything close to 100%. But with all that, understanding all of that, where do you feel where this team is at for the next 3 games?
Games.
Games.
I think it's a coin flip. Like clearly they're the team with the 2 home games versus 1 without. But I told you guys early on, I don't like the Kings walking into Oracle for Game 6 and winning. And I certainly don't love a Game 7. I thought their best chance was to win in 5, and they lost that chance yesterday when the ball didn't go down at the end of the game. So that's tough. But I still like who they are and what they're doing and how they're growing and how they're learning. And that's what this has always been about. It's always been about the journey. And so I think that they're doing exactly what we thought they would. They're giving everybody, giving the league a really, really good series that you can point to and say they weren't a fluke. They were a really strong team. They're going up against the champs. They had them on the ropes, and for right now, the Warriors slipped out, and got away from you having them on against the ropes. But you got to figure out how to win games, and you got to figure out how to win games without De'Aaron Fox possibly, and you got to just play your game and hope that it's enough.
Yeah, I think. Well, I do think Fox is going to play. That's just my guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like I said, the guy's tougher than the $2 steak. If there's an opportunity to get out there, I think he's going to play. He's going to be compromised. He's not going to be the same De'Aaron Fox that we saw, in the first 4 games of the series. But I think he's going to play. But even with that being said, though, James, I think that this group, even if he didn't play, even if he is compromised, I think they still have a great opportunity to win this series. I like we talked about the way Davion Mitchell is playing. I think Malik Monk can give you, I'm not going to say he's going to score 33 or whatever he had, but he can play like he played in game 1 to a certain degree. I'm expecting Kevin Huerter to play somewhat better at the very least. I think Domantas Sabonis will play better. And then you get guys, and I'll ask you this, you get guys like possibly Terrence Davis, who might be a wild card and be able to get you some minutes, come off the bench and hit 13 in one game that can, and could propel you to a victory. Maybe a Kessler Edwards plays well, whatever. Just getting something from different pieces. I think they have guys that they can go to that they can still pull this thing out.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the question we were going to have coming out of the break was, did the Kings just, did the Warriors just get the Kings' best shot?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Like, I don't think that Domantas Sabonis played all that well. I don't think Kevin Huerter's played well at all. I don't think Harrison Barnes, outside of the game, the final shot, like he only had 9 points. Like there's more he can do. And so I think
my question to Kenny was, because Kenny responded the same way you did. My question was, do you think that that's going to happen? Do you think, but not do you think that, is it going to? Can it happen with the way that the Warriors have played defensively? With like, can all of those things that you were just talking about hit to make that punch even stronger?
I think so, because what we were talking about, like we didn't go over the numbers, but what did they in game 3? They missed 27 wide open. No. They were 5 of 27, right, on wide open 3-point shots.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone wants to make sure that that the Kings aren't just missing wide open shots, that the Warriors are forcing them into shots that aren't the same wide open looks that they're used to, right? And I get that, but every single game that you go through, the Kings need to learn from those situations and get better. And we can't just say, "Oh, okay, Keegan Murray can only hit a 3-point shot if he's right at this spot on the corner, or right at this spot at the bend in the arc." Like, you have to be able to develop and to move and to make adjustments. And I think the Kings did that in the last game, and I think they'll continue to do that. They'll continue to get better. And I still don't think we've had a game where like they just have been so good offensively that you're just like awestruck by them. They were really good last game, but they didn't have the like complete blow up game where you're like, okay, no one can beat them on this given night. And so, yeah, I think it's a great series. We've got 3 of the 4 games were realistically like, coin flip all the way down the stretch. Kings won 2 of them. They very well could have won a third, and they should have probably won a third with a wide open look like that misses by nothing.
Do you think, we'll flip it a little bit, you think the Warriors have played their best game and gave their best shot?
Well, like I think the Warriors, like even early on, they have so much work to do where you just felt like that they weren't really whole as a team. And we're seeing them get better as we get through the series. I think that adjustments, they clearly know that they can no longer put like Gary Payton Jr. and Kevin Looney and Draymond Green. They can't have like 2 or 3 guys at all times that can't score. So I think, again, having Draymond score a couple of buckets, that actually opened things up for them a little bit. But I think that they've made a lot of adjustments to keep up with the Kings. And that's good for the Sacramento, because I think a lot of their players who have kind of had good games, they've kind of maxed out who they are. I mean, Steph can still go for 50 at any time, but the rest of these guys, this is kind of who they are throughout the season. And we can go across all their stat lines and they're pretty similar to what they've been. And so, yeah, I still think that the Kings can beat them. It's just who shows up and how does De'Aaron respond and all that stuff.
I don't want to be too dismissive of Jordan Poole. I think Jordan Poole is capable of a bigger scoring outing than we've seen. I don't think he's going to get 50, especially because we expect Steph to have so many shots. But I think he had 20 something last night, 22. It might have been Clay. I think
he was good.
I think he's capable for 30 plus on a night that Steph has 38 or 40.
He is. I don't think he's going to get enough opportunity, though. But Steph is playing like 42 minutes a night. And
well, and that probably goes into, we're all under the belief that Draymond Green is starting. Are they going to keep Poole out there? Like, how are they going to put, like, what are they going to make this starting lineup look like?
Yeah, Poole, if Draymond starts, Poole back to the bench.
Which, it's so dumb. It's so dumb.
I thought he was.
That's been the move of the series.
It's so dumb.
I thought he was being unselfish, though. I thought he was, doing it because, hey, we haven't don't want to mess up a good thing.
Now, Coach, I'm gonna do it for a half. I ain't gonna do it for 2. That was the first thing I said. Second half gets underway, and I'm like, hey, is that 20? Is that Draymond out there?
Yeah.
They really did this marketing stunt for this, or not a PR stunt for one half. Couldn't even sit both halves.
And then he gonna start game 5.
Watching that unfold was interesting to watch behind the scenes. Watching it all unfold, like, yeah.
No
whatever.
one. Like, why did people buy this? Like,
they buy everything he sells.
I don't, man.
Out there, they buy everything he sells.
Man.
They buy everything.
That's wild. He when Draymond says he's a one of one, he really is. I don't know that there's another player in the league that has an entire fan base and media contingent warped like he does.
By every single thing he
but I'm telling you, their tone is going to change next year when he's wearing the Phoenix Suns uniform and he's taking Steph Curry out on a fast break.
Yeah, they spent 2 days convincing him to come off the bench, and then on day 3, it was his idea. Good for you.
Good work. Weird, man.
Good work.
So weird.
And then it's the story. Oh, just being selfless.
This man's really going to the Hall of Fame. Like, this man BS'd himself into the Hall of Fame. Incredible.
Hey, man, gotta salute the hustle.
Hey, you're right. You're right. He deserves his own wing for the way he hustled this joint.
Swindled all these people into the Hall of Fame.
Man.
Just swindled them all.
And the crazy part is, like, you can't, like, because of the way he is, it's difficult, the way that he is, but more specifically, the way that he's covered, it becomes difficult to acknowledge the things that he does do well.
That's what I've been saying forever.
He had impactful moments yesterday that you wish you could just say, man, that play by Draymond really kind of, that was a problem. But then it becomes, you have to, like, oh, Draymond, look at the defensive prowess. Like, no, he made a good play.
That's what I've been saying forever. Now you see,
he missed 13 shots.
It's not that he doesn't ever do anything good. He does a lot of good out there, but it can't just be like, man, that was a good play.
Didn't Fox score?
Might be the best defensive play in the history of the NBA playoffs. I'm just being real with you. He probably has 5 of the top 10 best defensive plays in the history of the NBA playoffs. What?
Yeah, and I mean, like, Fox still scored 18 in the second half.
Right.
Like,
that was the other dumb thing. We had to neutralize Fox. Brother, you failed.
Yeah.
That dude took 14 shots yesterday. Dude took 14 shots.
What was he, 5 of 14?
No.
3?
3.
Come on, man.
That dude was 3 of 14.
3 of 14.
Ace can be more.
They're like 12 layups. I think he shot 2 threes.
That dude gonna make me root for the Lakers next series if this doesn't go our way.
Hey, I was thinking about that today. My vote is already in.
I'm about to change.
If it go the other way,
Lake Show.
It's gonna
if it
be
go
me.
the other way, hey, there ain't no team I hate more than the Warriors. I'm gonna just tell you that right now. I don't like them. Haven't liked them for years.
Drew Down says, man, that's a Dylan Brooks line right there. Ain't no lie, that 3 of 14.
Full Dylan Brooks.
Oh man, and don't ever, to paraphrase Jay-Z, don't ever go full Dylan Brooks. James knows that reference. He's a big Jay-Z guy. We appreciate you so much for being with us. We've got 2 more days of this. Hang with us. We're going to get you ready for that critical Game 5 at the Golden One Center. Talking Kings, talking Warriors. I know James will be in attendance at practice tomorrow to bring us updates whenever he can. If you're listening